Okay, it's 11 a.m. on May 2nd, 2022. We're in the commission chambers for our regular scheduled commission meeting. First off, we'll ask if everybody could turn your phones off or silence them if we could. We'll start out with a prayer from Alicia Colthorpe, then the pledge from Mike Wilkins.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alicia. Thanks, Mike. Next item would be approval of minutes for April 25th, 2022.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from April 25th, 2022.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Next would be the report on the warrant, and then the review and counter signature certified list of claims.
Commissioners' warrants from April 28th. Didn't have that folder right. Total amount $312,818.08. There was a few big ones on there I'd like to itemize or bring out. Young Chevrolet Road Department bought a new truck, $45,817. There's also a payment to Jubb Engineering on the Central Canal for $33,701, and then Big B Equipment for $17,500.
That on the canals was just a pass-through.
That's a pass-through of a federal grant being passed through on that one.
What's the one for Big B on the John Deere? Who's that for?
$45.65. I think that is the Buckskin Hills.
Okay. Did you have on the review of counter?
I have one claim to present to you to Jones Paint and Glass from the
Buckskin Hills.
also for paint for $830.28. Check number 379729. No PO was issued on this one for $830.28.
For paint?
For paint, looked like it was 12 gallons of Barox interior exterior gloss white paint.
I have the Jones Paint and Glass. I have one from Pro West Service from the recorder for $1,200 and one from the Road Department for $2,370. It's checks number 379 747 379 736.
I didn't pull the Pro West one, so I'm not sure on that one.
Isn't that the one that was?
There was a refund, but it was for $7,000 or $8,000. This looks like
wrong.
this
Do
is
you
just
remember what that was,
says a
Brenda?
$1,200 payment. We wrote a check for $1,200.
Right.
The check for $1,200 did have a PO, and I put the PO number on there, and that was for the maintenance agreement on my machines,
On the machine.
my scanner. Mm-hmm. And the refund was,
That was, yeah, that's
they
before.
paid the wrong company, so they paid the money back, and that was 16,000.
It
And
was
that was-
16,000 refund.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
two companies, Pro West. One was Pro West Services and one was Pro West. Pro West is the ones that did our conversion for our maps. Pro West Services is our scanner maintenance.
Because when did we pay that one, the first time, to the wrong, we sent it with Pro West. I think we
That was
talked about
last
that.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last
It was-
year's.
And
It
they
was
have paid us
November.
back.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it took them a long time to give us our money back?
Yeah, it was kind of hit and miss communication with us, but yeah.
Okay. And then, I guess, Scott, do you know anything about Mike Marshall's, the road department?
Scott Hardman, Road Department, yes, I do. We used him last year. I asked Nicole to set up some training. It's for MSHA training, and I did fail to get APO for that.
Okay.
That's for the MSHA training for the,
The crusher?
What was that amount again?
$2,370.
2370. Okay.
alrighty, thanks. Okay, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to authorize the countersignature of the certified list of claims as presented.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Cemetery certificate.
We have one today, Commissioners. Mazer Cemetery, Michael Johnson and June Johnson. Lot 1090, spaces 1 and 2.
Okay,
That's all.
that's it. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we approve the cemetery certificates as presented today.
Okay? Have a-
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Do you have any tax matters today?
No tax.
No
matter.
tax matters today. Business licenses today. Gabby?
Good morning, Gabby Hawks Blackburn with Community Development. We just have one today. It's Barlow Dynasty. This is located at 3170 West, 500 North, parcel number 410617 in the RA1 zone. They make the pink dinosaur, Dinah. They make those figurines. We went and checked it out. The only regulations on this one is that they follow all home-based business rules and regulations, which specifies that if they continue to grow, their home-based business might not be appropriate anymore. They might have to move to another location. But as of right now, their equipment meets all the regulations.
Okay.
So they applied as a home-based business then?
Yep.
Okay.
Great. Okay, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the home-based business license for Barlow Dynasty, provided they follow all the home-based rules and regs, and also make note that if they grow to a certain point, they have to revise their license. Do they have to do that on their own, or do we monitor them at some point and let them know?
So every year they have to renew.
I'm sorry, that was out of order. I just made the motion. I'm sorry, I should have waited.
Nope, you're fine.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second now. Any further discussion?
Same question.
Yeah, so every year they have to renew, and it would really be on them to
Okay.
kind of see, but we do work off of a complaint basis as well, so if they
Okay.
were violating the home-based business rules, we'd probably hear about it.
Okay,
Got it.
any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thanks, Gabby.
Yep, thanks.
Land exchange in Uintah County as a result of Bears Ears. Tyson?
Jump drive. Or should I not worry about it? Tyson Todd with the State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Bears Ears Exchange and how it potentially will impact Uintah County. While Matt's pulling up a map for me, just to kind of overview, there's 2 parcels of land that are slated to be exchanged in Uintah County from the Bears Ears Exchange. One of them is Docks Beach on 2500 West, and the other one is near Scott True's property by the monument. The purpose I'm coming here is to explain that, but to also seek community support and involvement, hoping to get a letter of recommendation written from the county to state leadership in support of the Bears Ears Exchange. The Bears Ears has been a hot topic over the past couple of administrations. The current administration is hoping to push the Bears Ears Exchange through fairly quickly. And the Trust Lands Administration has identified parcels of land all across the state to better suit its portfolio of revenue-generating properties rather than property that doesn't make the Trust Lands any money. Just as a reminder, the Trust Lands is a quasi-state agency that generates revenue that primarily funds public schools. Last year in Uintah County, $1.2 million came to public schools through the trust lands. And as the trust and as the earnings continue to increase from those earnings from trust lands, more and more will come to local schools. And it's just kind of interesting the way that the equation pans out is more rural schools receive more per pupil than city schools do because the top 10% is cut off the top. So trust lands funds are really good for local schools. They're not both going to fit, are they? Perfect. So I just have a map really quick I'll pull up just so we can visualize where these 2 parcels are. So the first one we've identified is Cub Creek. You can see it's here. A couple of reasons we were looking to acquire that property is access to the river for agricultural pumps, and then trying to consolidate that entire Section 32 as a trust lands parcel rather than having the BLM area next to the river. And then also for a potential future sale. It'd be worth more as a block without that BLM in between the river and the trust land section. So that's kind of the first parcel. And the second parcel is Docks Beach over here, more to the west. Great recreation area, but also a lot of people like to do lots of things at Docks Beach. Last year we signed a contract or a lease with Uintah County for an OHV recreation area. It's a 30-year term. It's about a 420-acre lease, and the way we're anticipating this going is the land would be transferred to the BLM with the lease going with it. And the way that the contract is written out right now is there's a $28,000 a year rental, and the trust lands actually pays $24,000 of that through our OHV account, and the other $4,000 is in kind from the county, cleaning up garbage, graffiti, whatnot, and then there's a 10% royalty kickback to the state for any events or activities that go on that parcel. So
you're trading this ground for that ground is what, so nothing
No.
out of the Bears Ears is coming
So
up here?
all of our land in the Bears Ears, we're going to get kicked out of. We're trying to pick up this green parcel that's currently BLM, and we want to turn that into Sitla land. And then this Docks Beach portion that is Sitla land is proposed to be transferred to the BLM. So in Uintah County, we're picking up a parcel and getting rid of a parcel.
You're not really trading for Bears Ears property, you're just tagging on to that exchange because it's such a big one, might as well throw in cleanup pieces wherever you are.
Yes.
Okay.
And part of the strategy for that is this exchange has been expedited quite a bit through the federal government. Exchanges can take more than a decade sometimes, and the Biden administration is really pushing to, I think, tie up this Bears Ears exchange so there's not the political football with it. So we're identifying parcels that have high income potential and trying to get all those in the exchange. So we're getting out of all the stuff that's in Bears Ears and then picking up parcels statewide. And these are the two that we've identified in Uintah County.
How does, Mr. Chairman, question? Go ahead. Okay, we transfer this lease over to the BLM. They're gonna go ahead and accept this 30-year lease that will, if we make this exchange for the off-road use.
So, we've received, this happens regularly, and we've received several, for example, my telecom portfolio received lots of leases from the BLM Telecom that says, all right, this was BLM land, now it's Sitla, here's a lease that's coming with it. And a lot of times it's actually a rental exemption as the leases are transferred from one land ownership to the other. And that may be a possibility here, especially considering that the majority of the annual rental is paid by the trust land's OHV account, which we couldn't do if BLM took ownership of it. So essentially it would be just the $4,000 of in-kind value and the 10% royalty and a 30-year lease moving forward, except it'd just be managed by the BLM instead of the trust lands.
And if I might, I think it comes with all the encumbrances that are there will be accepted, because I don't know if we have, the county owns right-of-ways on Sitla throughout the county. I don't know if we have any on there, but if we did, they would transfer. BLM is not going to take them back. We don't have to repay for them.
Correct.
We get them regardless of the ownership.
There was a telecom, a passive microwave lease there. It just got cut down. They just removed it in the last month or two. So that's not an issue anymore. So now that that's gone and, the easements have all been paid for, there's currently no income generating revenue other than this OHV account for the trust lands. And so we just don't feel that it's really matches the portfolio of lands that we like to have that are more income oriented rather than recreation. And that's why we identified this as a parcel to be exchanged out of.
Now, Tyson, during the rec exchange that we took, one of those that took many, many years, we had identified parcels in Uintah County for what was being traded out of Grand County. Were any of those considered or brought forward? Were there any holdovers that were important from last time? Or do you know?
So they were considered, but the political climate between land management agencies in the Uncompahgre, we decided that to get this one through in an expedited manner, we weren't going to include any of those in this exchange. So anything in the Uncompahgre, we didn't include on this exchange.
But there were some north of, like, at McCoy Flats. That one's being handled through
That one's through the Dingle Act.
the Dingle Act. So there are no other pieces like that on the north end. Okay.
No. But that being said, I got off the phone with some Sitla management this morning, and there may be the opportunity to put additional lands in, maybe the possibility still, if you were able to identify, hey, maybe consider taking this BLM piece to the trust lands piece. That still is an opportunity, maybe. It's not a hard no. So if anybody identified
Okay.
any other lands that,
'Cause there were a couple of pieces over by La Pointe that were in that trail system.
in the halfway hollow area.
It's the only one I can remember right now.
So there were some lands near La Pointe that did get included in the Dingle Act,
Okay,
but I don't think they were those
okay.
halfway hollow ones on the north of the highway.
So are you just giving us basically notification of this, or
So,
you?
yeah,
want a
notification,
letter?
but also in an effort to, so notification, and we're also looking for some support. So resource specialists, people from the trust lands are going across the state to local commissions and asking for support to, say, hey, Uintah County, we support the Bears Ears Land Exchange. The trust lands revenue that comes to our schools is important to us. And our communications director, Marla Kennedy, actually, drafted a letter and some instructions here to try to make things easier. And I can leave these with you if you, hopefully get some support. I can email them, and then it's just to fill in the date, sign them, and mail it.
Didn't we do one of these not that long ago, maybe for the other exchange?
So there was one for the Bears Ears Exchange just a couple of months ago. That was more preliminary type.
But maybe if even for the Dingle Act, and we have some, we wrote a
Yes.
letter. You asked for a letter
Did.
from us
Yeah.
on that one as well.
It's just, we feel it's important to, keep local government involved and get your support. So,
Do you have a total acres that we would be, it looks to me like we're trading Docks Beach for this ground over here, basically. Is there is there any acreage actually coming from the Bears Ears to Uintah County?
so that parcel by the monument is going to go from BLM to Sitla.
Yes. How many acres is
That's
that?
110,
110? And how many acres is the one up here that we're,
about 420. So it'd be a net, Sitla net negative, I guess you could say, in acreage in Uintah County.
so we're actually losing,
You'd be losing Sitla acreage in the county, yeah, by about 300 acres.
But no
so
taxable
nothing's
acres.
coming from Bears Ears then, really, to us? Because that's my concern. We had a meeting, we met with Sitla out at UAC last week, and the concern of the commissioners of the counties that's losing that Sitla ground is that's income bearing for their counties.
Right.
And we don't want to be, at least I don't want to be a part of taking income from those counties. So I just want to make sure that we don't have any,
We'll be doing the same here, being
Yeah.
that loss as far as
yeah.
income,
Well-
not speaking a lot of.
So Docks Beach doesn't really generate much.
No.
Yeah.
And that BLM parcel would be, actually, if it were to be sold, in addition to the rest of the Section 32, would be a net positive.
Right now, that BLM piece is right up next to the river. If there's anything happens to it, it's probably going to the Park Service.
Okay. So you're looking for just a letter of support?
Yeah, and I have it right here. I'll email it to you,
Okay.
but that's just a draft of what we wrote. Just an attempt to make it easier.
Okay.
For the
Do we
counties
need
to-
any action on this? You have any other questions?
We can, that's no decision of ours. We can just go ahead and send it.
Okay.
It's a letter of support. It's not a decision letter.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You have anything else?
No, that's great. Thank you for your time. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for coming. Appreciate you. Next item on the agenda is the road maintenance agreement.
Sign in and I'll pull that out.
Okay.
Scott Hardman, Uintah County Road Department. I just have the road maintenance agreement in between the Forest Service, Ashland National Forest, and us on maintaining the roads. This is the same agreement that we sign every year. I just need a signature on it. There were one major change, and that was just an admin change. of who I send the paperwork to, and then the notes from our annual meeting in January, so.
They'll pay us, correct, to maintain the roads. They're
Yes.
paying us.
Yep.
Dollar amounts, does it fluctuate every year depending on miles or,
It's just B roads,
All the B roads.
that's decided by the state, so.
date?
Okay,
Those numbers are, they vary. I mean, there's a formula for them, the state controls that, so.
Okay.
all right, a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make the motion that we approve the road maintenance agreement from Uintah County Road Department to Ashley National Forest with appropriate signatures.
Second,
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I did have a quick
Okay.
question. Did it go through, was it reviewed by John or Tegan or anybody, do you know?
No, it was not.
I know it's the same, or it should be the same. You mentioned a couple of changes, but there are no changes to the boilerplate
No.
or anything like that.
Nope.
Okay.
No, the previous one was for the,
Snow grooming. You have to.
Yeah,
have to come
to
up.
Tegan Troutner at the Uintah County Attorney's Office. Can I just review it really fast and then?
We'll move you down one. We'll do this consideration approval of purchase agreement for real property. Oh, yeah, we'll have to just,
Can we just table that motion for a minute, or?
Yeah, they can, the motion and the second's been made, the vote can just be,
we'll just suspend it.
hold off on
until-
it for a minute.
While she reads through this.
Based on what she comes back with, we may want to withdraw the motion.
Yeah. So let's go to the next item on the agenda, the consideration approval of purchase agreement of real property.
Thank you, Ken.
Good morning to the commission and community. I'm Ken Campbell. I'm the director of the airport, Vernal Regional Airport. Today I come before you to culminate a long-term, almost a year piece of a potential acquisition for a property that's near the airport. On the very front page of the documents that I just handed to you, you'll find that this agreement will be between Uintah County or Assigns, which is how we're listed at the airport, between the city and the county, and DRC Holdings. This is a request for purchase of a 2.4 acre piece of property at 638 East, 500 South. This piece of property is just to the west of Classic Aviation, or west of the current FBO known as Classic Aviation. The purchase price would be $95,000. The county and the city have both discussed this on multiple times throughout the last year, and this is the culmination of that. So this will be a formal request for approval of the purchase contract for that appropriate piece of land. Any questions?
Go ahead.
Just to make sure, this is the piece that they're talking about building the hangars
Yes, sir.
for a revenue source.
Yes, and that's an important piece. When I first got here about a year and a half ago, we changed the focus for the city and the county as far as the airport was concerned, and the reason we changed the focus was exactly what Commissioner Haslam spoke of. This will help us to build general aviation hangars for the area, as well as other types of hangars that will produce revenue for the airport.
This is on the plan that we put together, that you put together and presented.
Yes, sir.
It's a 5-year plan, or what is
It's
that?
a 10-year
10-year plan.
This is on the 10-year plan, and then inside of the 10-year plan is another, the first 3 years is titled as something else, so it's on that 3-year as well as the 10-year plan, through the all the way up through the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration.
Funding, we'll be able to use that.
This funding actually comes from, as agreed by the city and the county, from city and county funds, rather than using federal aviation funds, because of the differences in what I can purchase for the airport with those federally approved funds versus what we can do with these funds.
So it's not an addition to what we have budgeted for the year, it's out of the amounts that we have budgeted for the year.
That's correct, inside of
Okay.
that budget.
Okay. Any further discussion? Questions? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the real estate purchase contract for real property. I didn't get a
638 East, 500 South.
638 East, at 638 East, 500 South, more 2.4 acres, more or less. Does it say that there's a survey still due or that needs
Inside
to
of
be done?
number one there where it says property, it says survey is attached to the offer.
It's already
and
done, okay,
It is complete.
okay. Including authorization of signature.
Okay.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks again. Tegan, do you need a few more minutes?
There's just a schedule that is mentioned in it that I don't see there, and so if we could just table it to next week, I should have it done by then.
Okay.
If that works for
Does
Scott.
that work for you? Okay.
Sorry,
So do we
thank
need
you.
to withdraw the
Okay, yeah,
motion?
withdraw the motion.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, and then we'll table that road maintenance agreement till next week. The same with the ordinance amendment 0228-2022. That one, we have meetings this week with some operators over in that area. And hopefully we can get this put to bed, and get it on the agenda and vote on it sometime, so. Okay, that brings us to public comment. We have 10 minutes, 3 minutes each. If anybody has anything they'd like to bring up.
Brenda McDonald, Uintah County Recorder. I just have a question. This is for Ken, basically. We sat with the Transportation District when the airport was set up under them. And that's how we update our tax roll, is through the lease agreements that come from there. And I haven't seen one in a long time. And I don't know if the leases have changed at all or not, but it's just information that we need to record those leases so that we know who to send the tax to. And I don't know, Ken, if we've had any or not, but this property made me think of that, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, good call. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. Good call, Ken Campbell from the Vernal Airport. So because we're changing the lease in a fairly drastic way out at the airport, we have held off on receiving monies for that. I have received monies for last year and now this year minus one property. So within the next probably week and a half, I'll have all lease monies for the past 2 years and a proposal for that changed lease. The proposal process I thought was going to go faster than it did, and it didn't. So I'll probably bring that information to you so that everything can move forward from that lease perspective, or excuse me, from the tax perspective as well as the lease monies. And then I'm going to have to delay the lease change until further notice. So
Okay, so the only way I had was to change the name from the lease. So I don't have any updated records on who should be getting the tax notice. So are they current?
they
From-
are current, and I'd be glad to
Okay.
come and update all those pieces of information for you. So I'll just come see you.
Okay,
That
that
work?
works. Yep.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll go out to public comment to adjourn.
I'll make that motion. We adjourn.
We're adjourned.